What up, what up, what up? It's the Uneducated Podcast coming at you again. It's your boy Slate Diggity. Got my co-host T. Rizzle and Mr. Matthew Jackson. And today we have a very, very special guest.
Very special guest.
Very. Mr. Greg Blankenbaker, a.k.a. Greggy.
Oh, my God.
Is that what we're going with?
No, so it's actually Greggy B.
Greggy B?
Okay.
Yeah.
MC Greggy B.
I gotta go.
On the beat.
I mean, that's chill. Greggy B.
Greggy B.
Sounds like an
It
M.
used to be Fatty.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, fat bastard.
Are you still making your aftercare, the fatties?
No.
No? Forgot
Too
about
much, too many irons in the fire.
that. Yeah. Yeah. Too much going on.
Yeah. Yeah, anyways,
what's
glad to be here, guys. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for being
Super
here,
cool.
dude.
Absolutely.
Before we forget, we're going to plug you first. Where can people find you? Like social media, that type of stuff.
At Greg Blankenbaker Tattoos on Instagram, Greg Blankenbaker, Facebook, The Needles In Facebook. You know, I'm old school. That's about it.
Okay. And
1613 North State Street, North Vernon, Indiana, 47265.
there you go. There you go. Well, now, what's your phone number, social security number? What's your blood type?
Yeah, no idea.
I don't know either, bro. I can't tell you the last time I was at a hospital or a doctor's office.
As I passed it, I was like, huh, I was at that hospital not too long ago.
Okay.
And I had a client come pick me up. I was drug induced. They'd give me all kinds of painkillers. She come pick me up to get tattooed. We got back to the shop. I started coming down. I was like, listen, I can't be tattooing you like this. She said, no, it's okay. I'm sure you've tattooed worse. I was like, no, for serious. Anyway, she got fucking mad. I gave you a ride from the hospital. I don't even remember getting in her car.
He's like,
wild.
He's like, I just needed a ride home. Like, if I told you I was going to tattoo you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, they kept giving me Demerol. The Columbus Hospital, I think I had 3 shots of Demerol. I was in so much pain. Oh, you're fine, they said. Well, I didn't feel fine. Yeah, so this lady's texting me, let me know when you're ready to, I'll even come get you. So I told my wife, I'm high as shit off Demerol or something. This lady said, my wife's like, I got to come back to Columbus for sure. So she picks me up. Little bitty car, too. I remember rolling out, at the shop. And then I opened the door and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Oh, I ain't supposed to be cussing, am I?
Tattooing.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
you can.
Okay.
Tattooing, apparently.
No, so yeah, I was like, listen, there's no way I can't do that to you. I can't do that to me. I'm in no state to be tattooing. Oh, she got so mad. But yeah.
How dare you?
I know, right?
How dare
The
you.
nervous some people.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how long you've been tattooing? You said you own your shop in North Vernon.
I own my shop in North Vernon.
The Needles In. Me and Matt know a little bit about that. We've both worked
Yep.
with Greg. Greg taught me to tattoo. So
Yeah.
I had a hand. Yeah, that was cool. Had a hand with you.
Yeah, you were a big inspiration. Like, we traveled quite
Yeah,
a bit
I appreciate
together
that.
and stuff like that. And I've learned a lot from you about tattooing, how I personally view tattooing.
I actually remember, Matt, I think this was a few years ago, but you talked about your original apprenticeship somewhere else.
Right.
And you said it was super trash, and you actually kind of you considered working with Greg after that more of your apprenticeship than like your original one because you learned more working there.
I feel like it's definitely where I got more exposure to tattooing. Like, and I would say, I don't know how to put it, more like more about the traditions and the roots and actual tattooing instead of just putting a picture on someone's skin, I guess.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyways, professionally since 97,
Okay.
I've been tattooing.
How many years is that now?
24, 20.
Yeah.
And that's when Indiana adopted laws. It wasn't illegal to tattoo in Indiana. There was just no laws. So Indiana adopted laws, I think it was July 1st, 1997. And I was like, hell yes. Before that, when I tell people I've been tattooing professionally since 97, well, professionally because before that, my stepdad tattooed out of the house. He was an amazing artist, but you couldn't open a shop. There was, like I said, no laws. And so
There still apparently isn't around here. Every state's different, even within Indiana, every county's different.
Yeah.
Like Greenwood's on top of it. Columbus, they don't really have regulations. Apparently, that's what I've been told.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But so, a lot of what I learned coming up tattooing. So my first tattoos, I was 14. I took his equipment. I tattooed myself and 13 of my friends. Used the same needle.
Oh, gosh.
I was a badass though.
Yeah.
Everybody loved Greg.
Not a laughing matter, but at the same time, that's hilarious.
Right. Anyways, and that's how I got caught. He went to tattoo and his equipment was dirty. Still had ink in it. And I lied. No, it wasn't me. Wasn't me.
How old were you? You said?
14.
Okay.
Anyways, one thing led to another. My mom's searching my body for tattoos. And I said some choice words to her when she found it. She's got 13. He's got sleeves, full body. I said some choice words and they whooped my ass. And that's when I knew.
That you were going to tattoo
This
forever.
is what I'm going to do, man. I don't know how, but this is what I'm going to do. The next day, he took all his tattoo equipment and made me watch as the trash people, the sanitation engineers, picked up all his inks, equipment, and threw it away. And from there, he transformed from a tattoo artist. He started etching tombstones.
Okay.
Anyway, so art
Was that because
of me.
Because you tried to tattoo too, and he thought he was a bad influence, and so he was like, I'm not
my
doing
mom
this
thought,
anymore.
he can't do that. He's going to play basketball or he's going to do this. But I wanted to tattoo. I mean, I did want to play basketball, but growing up poor in that environment, limited beliefs, this is something I can do. This dude's been tattooing out of the house for years, man. Mm-hmm. But again, a lot of the things I learned, if you don't set boundaries, 3 o'clock in the morning, people drunk, beating on the door. Hey, Putt. That was his nickname, was Putt. Hey, Putt, let's get tattooed. Well, fuck it. Here's $30. And he'd do shit like that. 2 days later, dude come beating on the door again with a gun because Putt had tattooed him drunk, tattooed mountains around his ankles. And that stuff like that, watching him tattooing out of the house, that really paved a lot of what I put up with as an artist. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
I could definitely see that being rough. Even just, like you said, too many people and certain demographics of people too, like just coming around your house all the time. Like, I definitely wouldn't like that.
Well, and I was thinking about this on the way here. A lot of things that's changed. Earlier, we was talking about before we started recording gatekeeping and stuff like that, and how do people feel about it. Tattoos used to be expensive. It was a tattoo studio. I paid, and I don't know if anybody can see this. I got a little rose. I paid $120 for that in 1994, 93. Anyways,
and that was even more then.
Yeah.
Compared to now, because you'd probably pay similarly-ish now.
Yeah, and
depending on
Maybe.
prices
Depending
are,
on the artist.
yeah.
prices
I
are
get it for
double
$30 now,
Yeah.
depending on the artist. An artist that would charge me $150 for it probably wouldn't do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So back to that. I got in trouble, went away to prison, tattooed there. They got this saying in prison: spread your hustle or your asshole muscle. Right. So I was all about the hustle. I like to keep that thing tight.
fair enough.
So I tattooed there. In the state of Florida, you get game time. Every day you do, you get 3, unless you fuck up. They take that away. So I think I lost about 6 months of free time in prison because I got caught tattooing.
Okay.
And when I got out, 97, they adopted laws in Indiana. I used those write-ups as my resume.
Okay. Cool.
Kind of genius.
And that's how I got my first tattoo job. A place called Tattoo Masters.
Okay. Where was that at?
Scottsburg, Indiana.
Okay. That was your first shop.
That was my first
environment.
Yes.
Who were
it was,
some of the artists
It
in
was
that?
horrible.
What? Yeah.
So we had a guy named Dennis. They called him Tattoo. He was making homemade rigs.
Okay.
You take an electric motor. You take a big pin. You connect it to your electric motor. And then there's several different ways to make your needle. But the most common one is you take the G string off a guitar. You unwind it, you sharpen it, you wrap it around your electric motor, bend it so it don't bounce, and stick it through your big pen, mechanical pen. And there you go, you have a tattoo machine. And that's how the guy was tattooing.
Like how people were in prison.
In prison, right? So I kind of fit right in. It was
out of like,
yeah.
I've heard like they get CD players and stuff, and like they'll take the motors out of those and use this and that. They'll burn certain types of paper they get in letters to make soot, and then they make the ink out
days.
of soot and all that. I don't know.
I've heard chess pieces.
You take a Pepsi can of cola, you rip the top off of it, and kind of give it a little, so it'll hold part of your T-shirt.
Okay.
You fill that with baby oil. You put the T-shirt in it. You hold the T-shirt. Now you got a wick. You light that. You burn baby oil. You put a cone over top of it. It catches soot. You take that soot. You mix it with alcohol. It looks like that.
Genius, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, the ingenuity is definitely super, super cool to hear because, like, I've never had to manufacture a tattoo machine. I'm spoiled in this industry coming in not even 4 years ago. You know what I mean?
Which, like I had, what were some of your like favorite changes from now to then work like studio wise? Cartridge, yeah.
Hands down cartridge. The cartridge is, so show up hour and a half early, unless you want to stay late yesterday.
Right.
So you could make needles. And that consists of, so you got a bar, you've got jigs, you want a 7-round, you want a 7-round shader, 7-round liner, you want a mag. What the fuck is a mag? Have you guys heard of a mag? 97, I would say 97 when they adopted rules in Indiana. That's when the mag was a thing. And there was
those were like fives or seven, five and sevens?
Yeah, 7 mag. 7 mag was a big deal.
Okay.
Before that, everybody was, I seen an artist here locally not too long ago talk about, man, these round shaders are amazing. What? Shut up. That's what I did a whole back piece. I done spawn. I could show you guys. I done spawn on a guy's back with a 7-round shader.
Okay.
Sheesh.
32 hours. Anyways, a mag. Boy, what would I have done for a mag? Anyway, so then so I got maybe 3 tattoos a day, or I don't know what I got, but I got to make needles. And then after I make them, I got to solder them together. I got to clean them. Then I got to sterilize them. And now we're ready for the day.
All while breathing in flux and
yeah.
everything
Oh,
else.
yeah. Yeah, because there was no OSHA to tell me about safety and, should put a mask on. Yeah. And so taking that out of it, 2 things.
It seems like now you can really focus on the art a lot more rather than before.
Making needles was an art.
Yeah.
But that takes away from, as much as I'm glad that we don't do it no more, it takes away from it. Let's say someone who works with wood, he goes in, he sharpens his tools. He makes sure it's going to, cut the wood and do everything he wants. And that helps give him, he worked for it. That puts more pride in his work. Not making your needles.
Taking some of the craft or tradition away from it. And that's kind of what I was trying to say earlier is like, those are the things that I really feel like I learned from you, like Huck Spalding, and like you introduced me to that, and A to Z, and
legends right, in the industry.
And knowing who became before is where like you really inspired that for me. Like know the history, know who did this before us, because they all paved the way for us.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Was he using, so when you worked with him, it was quite a few years before I started.
Right.
Were you guys using coils?
You would use a coil every once in a
every
while,
now and then,
but you were making the transition into using.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was when you were just now, pins were rolling out. You were making.
I started it before, but so I bought one of the first Cheyennes. I can't remember the name of it.
Probably the Hawk, maybe.
Yeah.
And
Soul Nova wasn't out.
guy up because there was no give, and I just destroyed like half his arm. So I put that away. Then I wound up selling it because that shit's junk. And so, 2019?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was doing the transition again because, there's a lot of things I like about, a rotary. And now that I'm more comfortable with it and everything, I'm not chewing people up.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah. Yeah, that transition. I mean, I still have coils. And every now and then, just for the noise, I'll be like, listen to this.
I still love I still don't think there's something that puts in a line quite like a coil though.
There's nothing.
Facts.
Yeah, there's
Like,
nothing.
yeah.
That's there's an artist in Sellersburg who still uses coils.
Yeah.
And he'll knock out a whole back piece, line of back piece in an hour.
Yeah, that's how like Nick Hido is and stuff
Yeah,
too.
Nasty Nigel.
Yeah. You're talking about
man.
Kansas?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's clean with it, bro.
Yep, definitely a solid word.
Yeah, so cartridges totally changed the game, machines and cartridges. Because when I started with you, I don't know how many years after it was when you worked with Greg, at least a few.
Yeah, a couple.
And when I started, you had been using the what was it, Axis Valhalla, the pin.
Yeah.
And so that was my first machine because you said you had loved it for about a year. You'd had it, and that's all you were using at the time. And so you had some pamphlets and like you made me like do a little bit of research right at the beginning of my apprenticeship about like, you know, hey, I'm not going to make you start with a coil machine because I'm not even using them anymore, but you need to know about them. So there was a little bit of learning about coil machines, all the parts, you know, how to break them down, how to like set them up and whatnot. But I wasn't actually like doing any of that because I just started with a pin.
Right.
So you said this is the way the industry is now. You should know about this other stuff, but I'm not going to make you like do that because I'm not even doing it anymore. So I got the Valhalla pin, and that was my first machine. So I've still never even tattooed with a coil machine,
Okay.
other than that little freaking Amazon kit that I got and did did a outline
Okay.
of
Gotcha.
a rose. We talked about that, and then that was it.
Well, if you ever want to borrow, I've got.
I don't.
I didn't imagine so.
I don't. History's cool, but I
Yeah.
have no.
And
It sounds like a hassle to me.
and for doing the style of work that you do, the Solnova, because that's what you're still using, correct?
No,
Okay.
FK irons.
FK iron, okay. But
Yeah.
I feel like they're softer hitting machines naturally, somewhat not having the give, so that way I feel like it's easier in lens to like realism a little bit easier than traditional like coil machines.
To me, it's definitely not. It's not a coincidence that when the pen machines came out, the quality of tattoos skyrocketed.
Yeah.
At the same time, like you can pretty much pinpoint it back to that. You're
Greg
giving me.
doesn't agree.
You're giving me
Greg
this
does not
face,
agree.
Yeah, I don't agree.
bro. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
We can.
So do you feel like it was better prior?
A coil machine is way better than a pin, than a...
You suck. I'm talking about your coil machine thing.
Oh, he said you suck. Just put it in my mouth. Jeez.
You think you
What
you
kind
like
of podcast is this?
you still like coils better? Although
Even though I
now
don't
you're
use
100% pen machine.
Yes. Yeah, it's easier to control. I think it's a lot easier to like a jackhammer and a hammer. If I wanted to take a wall down, I'd take a jackhammer. And that's kind of how I feel about the coil. It'll put
More powerful.
it'll put a line in, but I can make it way less powerful and do some really smooth shading. Look at Bob Tyrell. Bob Tyrell wasn't using, Paul Booth wasn't using, go back and look at that realism that they
Right.
do. They wasn't using pins. They were using coils. Yeah. I think what's changed is the artist, the artistry. So Lyle Tuttle told me one time, he's got a screwdriver in his hand. And he said, I started tattooing in 1943 in San Francisco, sitting on the in front of a barbershop on top of my power supply. Imagine how big power you could set on it using a single needle. And never thought that you'd be doing portraits. And so that's the difference is the artist. You guys got going to school. At first it was guys going to school or dropping out and, they got a tattoo, I can make some money. But now guys are going to art school to be tattoo artists.
Yeah.
For me, the tools have changed a little bit. Ultimately, it's still the same tool, but the artist.
I do agree with what you're saying. Other than the tools, I think the other part of it, from what I can see, is like you never know what's possible until you see it done, and all of a sudden, people started seeing couple people in the industry, like the biggest names in the industry, they started to do higher level.
They were raising
work.
the bar.
Yeah, they were raising the bar,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Yeah, this is possible with tattoos," and people really didn't think that it was before, you know. So they were just sticking to the simplistic ways of whatever, and so then that just kept on going, and now it's, you know, as we can see, things continue to just get crazier.
There's no bar.
as far as what
Well,
you
you
can
know,
do.
there
ceiling
used to
in
be
tattooing.
the biggest guys, the most popular names in the industry.
Yeah,
That's everybody here could give us 5 different names that are amazing badasses.
yeah.
You know, and back then there was a handful. You know, I mean, we go back to Don Ed Hardy and what he did at his first convention, and you go back to those guys, and there was what 5 or 10 people that were making moves.
On the first tattoo convention from Sailor Jerry, there was only 7 people there.
Yeah,
Like, and they kept correspondence all over the world, and I think it was under 50 artists where they're all sending letters and flash acetates, designs, and everything.
right. And when they started networking and learn from each other like that, and then it's what it is today. Like I said, each one of us could name 5 or 10
Yeah, there's so many.
amazing artists that I've never even heard of because I'm worried about these 5 or 10 that I know. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the art and the networking, man, that's something. Things that I could change. You know, we was talking earlier what not to do
Right.
to be a tattoo artist. Don't stick yourself in some hole and claim that you're a tattoo artist. Go learn. Go network. I follow you. I watch your stuff. What? You learn from YouTube?
Yeah.
Bro, can I get those? Can I get that information?
It was only a bit from YouTube.
Yeah, but I mean, you understand what I'm saying? It's just watching you progress so fast. The knowledge you've picked up. You've got to be a fool, man. And I'm sorry if I'm talking to any of you fools, but you got to be a fool if you're just going to stick yourself in your studio and not network. The worst thing about being an owner is I don't get to work next to you. I don't get to work next to you. I don't get to work next to you. Being shop loyal used to be a thing. That's ridiculous, man.
And that's why we've started doing like the collaborative event stuff, like because then we can still all work together in our own capacity as well.
And still learn. I've watched what you've picked up. I can see some of it in you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that, you know, back in the day, that's crazy. You've been tattooing a couple years longer and he's learning from what?
Yeah.
That don't happen. That was against the rules. And now it's a real thing.
I heard this this saying on, I don't know, maybe Instagram or Facebook or something, but it's like someone posted the people at the top collaborate and people at the bottom are the ones competing against each other. And I feel like that resonates with
I think so, yeah.
the current, mostly the current state of the industry. You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
like,
And we're all going to go further together.
yeah.
Instead of like on our own separate paths. Like if you're sitting there grinding by yourself doing things and you don't want anyone to watch you, you don't want to show anyone, then you're just only going to go so far as like we all lift each other up and push each other. Like you got me go to the first conventions. I was somewhat nervous going into my first guest spots, and you're like, no, you need to do that. Like as part of being a tattooer, you need to get out on the road. You need to travel and be around other artists.
Yeah, because, you know, I like to say that I'm the greatest teacher ever walked the planet Earth.
I think you're a pretty solid teacher.
Well, thank you very much. But the fact is, I've got caps, man. And you know, I go this way. I try to see this way. But there's other people that, you know, the whole spectrum. And so for everybody listening, everybody here, that's, you have to network. You have to get better, to grow. If you're going to survive, I mean, you know, yeah, that's how I feel about that.
We touched on this. I don't know if it was last week, maybe the week before, but there's people who like get stuck in their ways of tattooing, and then nothing changes for like 10 or 15 years, and they're still tattooing. And like,
Did you just call me out?
no, we were talking about people who like scratchers, pretty much people who tattoo out of their house, and it's like, I know I've heard of dudes around town who have been tattooing for 10 years, 15 years, and like have never really been in a shop consistently. It's mostly just been like out of their house or basement or whatever. And it's like their work still looks terrible. And
because
they were stuck in these ways. And since they're not exposed to the industry and teachers and being around people, they never had anyone correct them. So they just kept on doing it. And they have all these people around them, their clients, who, although they're trashy tattoos, they're talking them up like, oh, you're the best around, blah,
for
blah, blah.
$30.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so it's like they get this I guess even someone in that position can get a big head and
how
think
gratifying.
that they're good enough, and so they just never
Well, how gratifying.
grow and get better.
For me, there's two parts to that. First of all, how gratifying is tattooing? What does it do for you?
What, tattoo?
When you tattoo, when they walk away with that piece that you just created, how gratifying is that to you?
I mean, it feels good, man. You know what I mean? Whenever I see the excitement on their face, they're enjoying it. I enjoy it. You know what I mean? I'll go tear myself down later.
Of course we do.
In that moment, it's nice. You know what I mean? All around the family, family feels good after that. I feel good. They feel good.
Yeah, it
Hopefully
pours into
their
our
friends,
lives
everybody,
outside of
yeah.
tattooing.
What did you have that same feeling when you're doing shit tattoos?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. Yes, 100% I did. There's number one. Why did I get better? They worship the ground I walk on.
Mm-hmm.
It makes them happy, makes me happy, and I paid my electric bill.
Mm-hmm. They like it. I like it. I'm making money.
So
It's
what
cool.
do I need to change?
What needs to change? I
Just
don't need anyone to tell me how to do
Complacency.
this.
I
Yeah.
think that's like
Okay, but now I
fall
want to
into that.
change. So I
Right.
come to your studio, and you're such fucking assholes.
okay. Yeah.
I'll go back to being me, making $30 a tattoo. Because you I got to do what? I got to do this. You want $10,000 to apprenticeship? Suck my dick.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go learn off the internet. I mean,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And so between that, I'm already self-gratified. I'm a tattoo artist. What's up? And professional tattoo artists are gatekeepers. You can't do what I do. You've got to pay. Oh my gosh. For the last 10 years, I've sucked so much dick to be here, and you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us are that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not cool. Not cool at all. So the old coming up, one tattoo studio in 5-10 counties. And if you thought about crossing that line, we're going to throw bricks through your window. It's gatekeeping.
Yeah. There was like firebombing and everything.
Yeah. Or was it just a
back in the
bunch of
day.
scared motherfuckers that didn't know their worth? Because what 7 billion people in the world? 7 billion people? There's plenty of skin for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, and that
And that has evolved too. Even after COVID, the tattoo industry has exploded like never before.
yeah.
Like,
Well, it's more acceptable, but also, besides more acceptable, you can go anywhere and get. It doesn't matter your financial level. I know an artist who's $3,000 a day.
Yep.
I know you've heard me say it already. $30.
Right.
interesting enough, there, and I'd love to talk about this. There's a demographic of people who even gear towards a higher price than a lower price. Like that's what interests them. And an analogy I'll use, because I'm sometimes this way. It's like if you go to the store, grocery store, the electronics store, whatever, there's usually tiers of a product, right? You
Right.
can get the budget one, you can get the mid-level one, or you can get
Members'
the high,
choice.
Oh, yeah, or you can get the high-level one,
Yep.
depending on what it is. I've been into music production, video production, tattooing, like a bunch of creative stuff, and all those are expensive hobbies.
Right.
So I have made bad purchases before, and I spent the money that still was a decent amount of money, and I wasn't happy with the product, but I was trying to save, right?
Right.
So somewhere along the line, I stopped doing that, and now I'm the person who usually likes the higher quality product, and I'm satisfied and only have to buy it one time.
I feel
And
the same.
tattoos have become the same way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, I feel exactly the same, especially like machines. Like I feel like the quality of the machine that you buy in tattooing matters. Like, I just bought a new iPad, so like I'm in the same boat. Like I didn't really necessarily need it, but it's faster.
Mhm.
It makes a
And
difference.
you're not going to be disappointed with it.
Nope. Anyway,
Yeah, no, I'm listening. I mean, I for the most part, I agree with that. That does put the clientele in a different mindset. I've said this 100 times. Go to the junction down here, and the Circle K has 332. And across the street, the BP has 335. It's the same freaking gas, man. But they think, oh, it's more expensive. It's better for my car.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not, then the other part of it's mindset for the artist and what I'm worth when I raise my prices. So I went from a kind of $100 an hour, whatever you could afford, to $200 an hour with a 2-hour minimum in a period of 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my biggest fear was me. I mean, at the time, I got 20 years experience, and I was charging what I paid for this tattoo back in 1994. And so crossing that line, people were coming to me for my prices. That was my mentality. And a minute almost ruined me. I didn't want a tattoo anymore. It really sucked. So changing my mindset, because I am worth that. I don't care if you are artistically better than me. I don't care if you're funnier than me. I don't care if you're better looking than me. I offer an experience.
I'm definitely not better looking. Look at that Superman hair.
Anyways,
Clark Kent up in here, bro.
so knowing your worth, you're going to attract that type of client.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I've heard we're in a tattoo economical crisis. Shops are closing down. Artists are lowering their rates.
People are getting day jobs and everything.
I haven't. I'm not boasting or bragging, but I haven't. I offered that experience.
Yeah.
That I stay booked. I'm booked to January, $200 an hour, 2-hour minimum. I get to do what I want. If somebody cancels, I'm bored. I'll hit a list.
So whatever you're doing is working. That's all you know.
Yeah, and it comes from, like you saying, you give an experience, as we all do, each individually give an experience, and that's part of getting a tattoo.
Yeah, anybody can apply ink to skin.
Right.
And that's one of the things that when I teach people, you know, tattooing is way more than just putting ink on skin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know some amazing artists that I would never get tattooed by because you're such a fucking dick.
What was the quote? Some artists suck so bad all they have is a good portfolio.
Yeah.
Like, that was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's some people like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
So
names
you're
are going through my head.
So somewhere along the way, your mindset started changing as far as, well, you had mentioned like some limiting beliefs and stuff like that you had from the past. And I know we've talked a lot about this, but I think that is still something a lot of people don't really, they haven't heard that concept before. And self-worth, I think, can be like a really legit thing to understand and a good conversation to have. And then there's the other side of it to where it also can be sort of cliche. You know what I mean? Some people use it in a cliche way, but it's a real thing. Right. Like you can't ultimately judge how you charge or how you operate off of how somebody else does something, because there's someone else that does something different. And then there's someone else that does something different.
Well, because there's only one of me.
And
Right.
And it keeps going. So it's like eventually you have to make your own rules for your own self-employed business, which is tattooing.
And that's what tattooing has become.
Yeah.
We can attract so many different. Lyle Tuttle said, you know what changed the tattoo industry? Women's lib. So back then, women didn't get tattooed. Oh my God, they were frowned upon.
More sailors and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
sailors and bikers. Yeah.
There were clubs like specifically of women in the 50s that got tattooed in secret. And like a lot of in the UK, it was a big thing. Like a lot of the royal families would have tattoos, but you would never see them because they were under all their clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with the change, now there's so many different. You have a style. You have anime. I love your work.
Appreciate that.
I'm a 50-year-old man that think it's fucking ridiculous. Who the fuck would put Pokemon or Pokegirl or whatever the fuck on their body?
Yeah.
But you know, so there's the genre. There's so many people. I tattooed a 60-year-old vet who was totally against it, and his freaking wife. There's just so many different genres, different types of people now that'll get tattooed. And now that we've made it more affordable in some cases, it's more okay, you know. So I'm off topic there, huh?
Yeah, well, that's good. No, it is.
Squirrel. I told you what happened.
It is crazy how things have changed, how specific it's gotten with types of work that you can do, and like you can really customize your tattoo business. You know what I mean?
So mindset.
And I'm between you and Slater as far as like you're a 50-year-old man, anime, you don't understand it. You don't get it. And I'm like halfway between there because like I've been exposed to some of it, but I'm still not like an anime person, and I work in a shop that is like anime themed. And so, but it's crazy because I am like the outcast in this shop because I know nothing about it. You know what I mean?
Right, but see that's back to the mindset. So that's
That's how
you feel.
popular it is. Like all of a sudden, it's like back in the day when you were going to school. It's like there was like the Star Wars nerds, and then the cartoon nerds or whatever, and this and that, and it's
The
like
preps, the hoods.
yeah. And nowadays, you're a nerd if you don't know anime. You're a nerd if you don't know Star
Right.
Wars because it's so popular.
Right.
People
You
are
can
like,
just be old
"What?"
too, Tracy. You can just be old. You don't have to be a nerd.
I guess, yeah. But yeah, people are like, "What? Like you don't know? You've never seen that? This and that?" And so it's insane.
Yeah. So, anyways, so back to mindset. You can do that. That's what you thrive on. That's what I've seen your other stuff too, and it's amazing as well. But man, you're so good at it. And do you know that
What?
you're good at it?
I'm all right.
See what I'm saying? And so we get limited beliefs. We get imposter syndrome. So I've done a cat, right? I've done this cat and this Maine Coon. Man, I got an artist named Zach, and he said, that right there is the best tattoo I've ever seen you. It was horrible. What are you talking about? And then, I get on Facebook, and I don't judge by the common folk likes. I artists like my stuff. Right? Oh man, I got 7, 9, 10, 12 artists liking my stuff.
Unfortunately, we're all just trying to impress other artists. Yeah, I will fully
agree.
admit, like, who is it that's liking my posts because there's certain people I care about more than others.
Yeah.
And I hate that it's that way because, like, I don't want to be trying to just impress anyone. Like, why can't I just do tattoos and be happy?
But it feels good to be accepted by your peers.
It does.
You know what
Right.
I
Well,
mean?
I
It
used to like,
does.
so back in before Joshua Carlin passed, he'd like my stuff. I'd run around the house.
Oh, it made my day.
Yes, Joshua Carlton liked my tattoo. That means it's good. But anyways, so back to, it's mindset, man. We all beat ourselves up, but your experience and who you are and what you offer, that's worth a premium. And so artists who just sit and don't grow and don't want to learn or are afraid, that's what's holding them back. We all offer something unique. And so, again, back in the day, tattoos were expensive. Not just anybody got tattooed. And we've lost that a lot because imagine being known for your cheap prices. Not for your quality of work, not because your great attitude, not because your anime's fucking sick and your shop's awesome. It's because you're $30. That's gotta suck.
You're right. Yeah.
The tattoo's sick for $30.
Well, again, that's a mindset. How do you put your all into it for $30? That mindset, it changes. So, can I ask how much you charge?
Naturally, a full day's 1,200, but
You're too cheap.
Yeah, I kind of dropped it a little bit. Yeah, most people pay about 1,000 right now.
Do you put $1,000 worth of work on them?
Probably a lot more.
You see what I'm saying? And so that's the difference. You have that mindset. I know you do, and I know you do. If I'm going to charge you a premium, I'm breaking out all the bells and whistles. I'm breaking out everything. This is going to be a great day for you. And that changes your mindset. $30 an hour, you get $30 an hour work. There was a local guy who was tattooing out of his house. He's knocking them out all day long. He wasn't getting experience because he was doing $30 work. You know what I mean? So in his mind, it's next. But when you do $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 tattoo, you take all your time you need, you bring out all the right equipment because I'm charging you a premium.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is a good artist and a great artist.
Right.
It's like holding yourself to a standard.
It's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about how well I treated you. And that equals money. It's weird. And a
Yeah.
lot of times it's hard to cross. Are you being humble or conceited, you fuck? And for me, a lot of times I'll brag, I'm 15 a day. I have no problem getting 15 a day.
Right.
I can't believe I just said that. That's never been me. I was doing $300 tap outs.
$300
Greg's
tap
doing $300 tap outs. Follow him.
Next week.
So I work for a place called can I say their name?
outs.
Okay, so I work for a place that's not so reputable.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had to get business in, man. It was horrible. It was 50-50. They paid me 50%. But crickets. So I come up with this grand idea, $300 tap outs, 8-hour sessions or until you tap out. And it worked. It started bringing business. But imagine working to go broke.
Right, yeah. If you can't buy your supplies afterwards or feed yourself or
Right. I'm into tattooing because I love tattooing. I'm second generation, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. But I either have to make a living at it or get a different job. Mm-hmm. And that would make tattooing suck.
right.
So I work for this place and $300 tap outs. And I've done this to both you guys. How much does it cost to do a tattoo? If you was to give me a dot
Right.
today, how much does that cost?
Yep.
Well, anywhere from $60 to $100.
You're famous for saying how much is a cart of groceries.
Right? How much is a
When-
tattoo?
when
how
someone
much
asks
how
how
much
much
is
is
a
a
bag of
tattoo?
groceries?
Yeah, who freaking knows? Depends on what you got.
Depends on what we put into it. Depends on the detail. Depends on the time. Depends on the equipment. And if you're not making that plus profit, you're working to go broke.
Right.
You know, starving artist
Yeah.
because they don't know their freaking worth.
Yeah, and they don't realize. I think a lot of artists forget that we don't have health insurance unless you're paying for it. They don't realize all the other things.
Right? Not everybody's into crypto.
Right.
Retirement plan. Yeah, and so there's a lot of things that you don't put into factor. And so if you're doing a $30 tattoo, not only are you being unjust to yourself, but to your client as well. And the client don't care; they're fucking happy. I got a $30 tattoo.
It's interesting, like how it all kind of works together to me. It's kind of like what you're saying. You kind of get out of it what you put into it. But so if you're basically working to go broke, then you're just begging for the next tattoo. And especially if there's multiples, you want to bang them out as fast as you can, get that money because
Yeah.
you need it to live. You know what I mean? It's not the mindset of like just taking your time to do the best quality tattoo versus on the other spectrum, if you're charging a premium, you are also delivering a premium, which allows your work to be way better. You know what I mean? Because you're taking it more seriously.
Yeah.
You're getting paid more. The client, although they're paying more, they end up being happier because they're getting your best work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It honestly all works together if you just like
It
Right.
does for
be
sure.
you know take it seriously and like do what you believe you're worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The question is, what are you worth? Because it seems like people across the board can't really answer that question.
Well, and it's hard to gauge that because your self-worth is different than mine.
Yeah.
So, but like whenever I came to work for you, that was one of the things, kind of piggybacking off what you had said about getting better in that process. Whenever I came to work for you, you had said that one of the stipulations was I had to raise my prices from what I was tattooing. And so I did that. I got better the next day because I knew I was charging more. I had to.
You had to level up.
Yes, I had to meet that. You know what I mean?
Right, the person that you are.
Right. Yeah. Like
You're not a shitbag doing $30 fucking tattoos because I want
Right.
your money. I'm an artist beautifying your body.
right.
And I take pride in that.
Yeah, because I think I was charging probably like 80 to 100 ish an hour, and then when I came to work for you, it's like, well, you need to be charging 150 an hour. So I was like, okay, if I have to be a 150 hour artist then now.
Yeah, and that supplies your what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I can buy more expensive equipment because
Right.
I charge a premium
I can stay up late reading, researching, drawing, and to get better.
and have a life all at the same time.
Right,
It's
yeah.
amazing. But yeah, I was guilty of that. You know, I done when I first opened my shop back in 2014. Yeah, 2014. Gosh, I've done so many infinity signs. I used to have bad dreams about it. $80, $120, because I had to pay the bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would push larger clients away so I could do those 6 infinity signs today for $80.
Mm-hmm.
When really I could have done just one large tattoo for $800, $1,000, or $1,200. And so I thought I had to do everything that walks in the door. And the moment I realized that I didn't, I work less, I make more money, I have lots more fun. You know, life is so much better. And I attract that type of clientele. You know, and there's sometimes I feel guilty about it. Oh man, listen, we done more talking and bullshit than we did tattoo, and I can't, I can't charge you that. And I'll tell that to the client. And so, you know, so 3 hours, $600, but man, listen, we done some bullshit. So how about 4? And they'll still give me $600 because that's who I attract, because I believe in myself. I believe in what I do. And all of that makes it great. You know?
Yeah. So I've had this conversation with like some pretty high level artists I would consider, as far as like charging and what are you worth and this and that, because they just couldn't decide. You know what I mean? They wanted to raise their prices, but at the same time, they were like, I just at a certain point think that it's bull crap. Like you're just trying to get away with murder. Like how can I decide that I'm worth it? You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, there's this person and this person over here who isn't even as good as you, and they charge more than you. That means you're on the lower end of even the general area you're living in. So if you wanted to raise your price and felt like you needed to, then you could, and you can get away with it. And then the conversation comes up like, well, who decides who's a high level artist and who's not? Because it's all art. You know what I mean? Some people consider this person, and then some people might consider me a high level artist. But like, you know, it becomes almost a conversation with like circular reasoning, where for some people it just circles back to like, well, how do you decide what you're worth? You know what I mean? And it's like, no one can decide that for you. You have to just decide, set it in stone, and that's that. You know what I mean?
You have to make that for yourself and decide that, okay, what is it going to cost for me to do a tattoo? And spend the time to do it at the level we're trying to do it.
Well, one of the biggest things that I dislike in the industry is who's better.
Yeah.
Who's a better artist? Who's
it makes it way too much about that. Has jaded me a little bit over the last year, because it really takes the joy out of it for me.
Right. Well, what makes you an artist?
Right.
There's so much more than just, again, applying ink to skin. There's so much more to it. And I have a large following. Swear by me. You do, you do, you do. And so why are we worried about things that don't matter?
Right.
You know what I mean? There's so many artists. There's so many different genres of art, anime, realism, old school, just tattooing. You know, there is that thing just called tattooing. And where we apply ourselves to it. So if you was to go by, realism. Well, I know 10, 20, 150, 1,000 artists that are better at realism than you are. But they don't offer the experience you do. That's part of being an artist, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you price accordingly? You know, to be quite honest, I understand where we're at with the tattoo community. We're oversaturated, bad economy. I'm blown away that you're $1,000 a day. That fucks me up so bad.
Pays the bills.
Yeah, but I was in that mindset. And I almost quit tattooing and went and drove a truck for Budweiser. And I love tattooing. This is my life. This has been my life since I was 14 years old. Everything I've ever done, I've gotten in trouble, I've been out of, because of. I've had women, lost women, gained women. It all revolves around tattooing. I love this shit. Yep. I love being here right now with you guys. I love this shit. Yep. And it fucks me up. $1,000 a day? Slater bra. And one of the things for me, like I said, so I done tattoos for whatever, just bring them in. And the moment that changed, and I went to that $200 an hour, I remember that first client walking in, my heart's beating out of my chest.
I remember this because I was here during this transformation of like, Greg's like, things need to change. You know, after years of like selling yourself short or whatever, you were going through this process of like understanding the whole self-worth thing and like, I don't know. Yeah,
and what I have to offer. And so I'm telling this guy, he's standing at the counter. God, it had to be huge beads of sweat, because I was like, I'm about to tell this dude I'm $400 minimum. He's going to horse laugh me and walk out. And I need a $200 deposit as I'm telling him how I operate. He's like, cool. Reaches in his pocket, pulls out his wallet, gives me $200 deposit. Inside, I'm like, it just fucking happened. Did you see that? Anyways, but then I've also had him come in like, oh, man, I can't afford that. Cool, because I really don't want to tattoo you anyways. I mean, you know.
Well, it's interesting how it definitely attracts a certain type of client, right? Like you talk a lot about what's your ideal client, and your ideal client is someone who is down to pay what you charge and let you have creative freedom and this and that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, it's I'm sure it's different for all of us. You know, I like to do a certain type of work, and the bottom line is, and I mean, this is a weekly thing. I'm talking to a customer, and I owe it to you, and I owe it to me,
Right.
because back to that mindset. If you make me do an infinity sign, but if you let me do an infinity sign with some of this and some of that and a whole bunch of that, do you see?
You're going to enjoy your job and your day.
And it's going to show on the work.
Yeah.
It's going to show on your skin. I had a good time, and it's not nothing you could turn on and turn off.
Right.
If you don't enjoy it, if you're just doing it for the money, it shows.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So again, changing that, when I went to do that, it was scary. Man, I'm going to lose money, but I didn't. Again, so I got a grandkid. I was working every Saturday, and I get a grandkid that I get to see every other Saturday. And he said, Papa, how come you work every time I'm here? 5 years ago, I don't know what I would have said, because I need to pay the bills,
Right.
because I need to make money.
Right.
Instead, what I told him was, Bubby, don't worry about it. Papa won't ever work again when you're here.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting the position it can put you in if you, especially if you've been undercharging for a long time, like if you're working to go broke type of
Yeah.
mentality, like you were talking about. If you, on the flip side of that, if you are charging a premium and you're able to get it, like you have the clientele for it, if that can put you in the position to where you're not living paycheck to paycheck necessarily, like week to week with whatever you make that week, like it's not the starving mentality anymore, then it frees you to be able to excel in your work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because then you're like, you even sometimes can get in a position to where if it's not a tattoo that you think really serves you in your portfolio or whatever, then you don't have to do it. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's like, if you're, it makes it to where it's not about the money. And I don't want to tattoo. The money's great. It's, you know, I like making money. I think that we
Yeah.
all do.
Right.
But it puts you in the position to where you're no longer just working for money, and
Right.
that frees you to be able to
A
actually,
little bit of financial freedom.
yes, that
buys
frees,
you time, buys you.
that frees you to do the art for the art
Right.
because you want to do it. You know what I mean?
And you know, something I've noticed, and sometimes like I really, really want to do it, so I'll lower my rates
Right.
because it's in your budget, and
Yes.
But something I've noticed about artists that charge a premium, you can't be a shitbag. Now, there's a few that slip through the cracks, but you can't be a shitbag piece of and charge a premium, because you'll come out.
Right.
You'll be exposed.
Yeah, for sure.
We've all seen that. Yeah. So,
We have. We've all seen it.
so charging a premium, the group of guys I'm sitting here with right now, you guys are premium. It's in your heart. It's in your soul. It's in your mind. You ain't out to screw nobody over. You're counting your cash.
Right.
That's not how that works. And you know, I know you. The more I get to know you, you're not those people. So it's okay to charge that,
Right.
because it is what you're worth. You know, and if you're just in it for the money, and we all know those guys too, you're going to wash out, man.
Yep.
Nobody cares. Keep tattooing little kids underage or whatever. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, the mindset, the changing of the mindset. You're worth more than that. I you know, the oversaturation. I hear people, oh, gatekeeping. We got to stop that. Man, there's 7 point some odd billion. Imagine if we started right now. 1, 2. I'd be dead before we got to 7.4 billion people.
Right.
That's how many people there are, and we're just making more of them. And they all got money.
Right.
So charge what you're worth. If they say no, then it wasn't the person for you, right? And if it's something you really want to do, then, you know, reach in your pocket. You know what? I really want to do this. What's your budget? Yeah, so that's how I feel about knowing your worth.
Yeah.